Hey, what is going on, people? YouTube and LinkedIn. Welcome to another countdown to BowtieUP Live.
Woo!
This time, we'd like to welcome my friend Henry Kaminski Jr. Well, we've worked together for several years. He's a good friend of mine, and I can't wait to introduce him to you now. And so, have at it, Mr. Henry.
What is going on, Lee? Well, listen, first of all, I want to say thanks for having me on. We have Canella in the background once again. The beauty of working from home, you know, you get to spend time with your family 24 hours a day and have visitors come in the office at any given moment. So you might see a little 2.5-year-old mini me running around too in a couple minutes anyway. But happy to be part of the show, and I love what you're doing here on LinkedIn, and just super excited to have this conversation with you guys today.
Thanks. Well, we're glad to have you here. And we also glad to have back Alex McDowell.
Hey.
Bangalore for this series of nonsense and
yes
going on.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Just wrangle as needed. Whenever we get on topic of rap careers and rock music, we'll just bring it right back in.
Okay. Do you want to do a quick introduction, or does everybody know you?
Yeah, so if you do not know me, after I think this is time number 3 being on here, so thank you again for having me, Lee. It is always a pleasure. If you don't know me, my name is Alex McDowell. I'm the owner of A3 Innovation and a partner at Real Impact Solution. Real Impact Solution, or RIS, is a robotic process automation provider, and I'm very, very thrilled to work with them as their solution architect and partner. I don't do a whole lot on LinkedIn in terms of posts, but we're working on that, so more to come. And here to chill out with Lee and Henry.
Very good. And most of you know me, but if you don't, I will fix your little red wagon. I'm Lee Rowley, owner of Lee Rowley Copy Branding and Copy Brand University. I eat, breathe, and shit copy, and I will teach you to do the same.
Steaming hot copy isn't what I thought it was, Lee.
I love it. I guess I should have introduced myself a little bit better compared to you two.
Go right ahead.
So real quick, I own a boutique branding agency called Unique Designs, and I've been working with online entrepreneurs for the past 13 years. I started off as a graphic designer and matured the business into a branding agency. We have 10 team members now working underneath the Unique Designs brand, and we help people scale online. So if you're a coach, consultant, personal brand, you own a small to medium-sized business that's doing at least $250,000 a year in revenue, we come in and help brand your messaging, brand your identity, help you architect and build out your sales and marketing funnels to help you connect, your true value to the clients that you want to serve the most.
And I'm going to take a second to pause the show and say hello to some of our good friends who have joined us today, including Tom Stansberry, Hannah Catus, myself commenting, hey, Alex, and Kimberly Edwards. Hello to all of you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're all having a phenomenal and healthy day and week. So back to the topic. Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And that's a good jumping off point, Henry, because you talk about you really focus on helping business scale from that 250K range, that 6 figures and went into the 7-figure range. But does that mean that you have to have that kind of capital to get started? Because we've got a lot of people coming into the picture now who've been affected by the recent the outbreaks, the shutdowns, and they're looking for opportunities. They're saying, how can I make the best of this situation, and how can I stake my claim online?
Yeah. So what I am seeing now is a massive need for education on how to work remotely, how to build out your teams remotely, how to serve your audience and clients remotely. And, it comes so natural to us because we've been doing this for so long, right? It was a little bit of an adjustment for me to take a step back and say, whoa, what are some of the obvious things here that we take for granted that is brand new to people that have just been displaced from work? And it took us a second so I got the team together and I said, what are some of the online tools that we use? What are some of the mishaps, but where do people get tripped up when they're working remotely or working with a virtual team? And so I started to develop content around all of that. And what I realized was people are in a big cash crunch. Like, business has literally halted across the world. Mm-hmm. So how do we adjust our marketing, right? And one of the things that I'm starting to see is this. I don't know if now's the time to start pushing high ticket offers down people's throats. I just don't know if that's the right move. Mm-hmm. Where I see the opportunity is really building the relationships with your audience and starting to put yourself out there more on social media, like doing lives like this. We do Q&As, we do just getting out there and knowing what's relevant right now. That's the biggest thing. Like, when you know what's relevant right now and you can provide that help, like, you're going to be seen as a trusted advisor. You're going to be seen as a go-to resource. And that's what we did. We had content batched out for 2-3 weeks. And last Monday I made the decision. I was like, guys, you have to pause all of that. And we got to put in this content brand new that's relevant to what's going on. And that seems to be what needs to be done. So my question for the audience is, how can you be of service and how can you be of value to your clients and your potential customers right now? Like, that's the big question.
And that's a great, sorry to interrupt you, Henry, but we do have to stop the show and say hello to a couple friends of ours in the audience who have just joined us. Rob Howes, how's it going, man? Lovely to see you in the comments.
Hey, Rob.
McDowell, who said my last name is strong. I agree, Mr. McDowell. Our last name is very strong. So Radical, lovely to see you. And then Hannah noticed that our ticker at the bottom of the screen was missing. So I was working on that just a moment ago, and we have now updated everyone's favorite news banner to read how to manage the changing landscape of business. So that's what we're going to be talking about right now. And when we change the topic, we'll update the ticker. And that's all from you stopping the show and saying hello.
Effortless. He makes it look easy. Yeah, he really does. That's awesome. Okay. So back to this discussion, this idea of like, what can you bring to the table? I mean, where do you start with that? I mean, especially if you've really never, none of us have faced anything like this before. We know that, paying attention to what's needed and what's relevant is like, it's evolving right before our eyes, right now. So, what's the entry point to that?
Yeah. So I think the first thing we need to do is reach out to our current customers and ask them, how are you doing? And how is this affecting business right now? And let them know that you're a trusted source and that they can reach out to you whenever they need to. So the first thing I did last week, early, like Monday, was I sent the text message out to all my past clients in the past 18 months and my current clients and said, things are getting weird, dude. Totally get it. You know what I mean? We got to figure this out. We're in this together. I want you to know that I'm here for you. I want you to know if you need to come to me for any sort of branding advice or branding questions or digital marketing questions, if you feel stuck, know that I am in your back pocket and I am a text message away. And that was my first step. And I got so much, thank you so much. That means so much. And that just like, you wouldn't let your best friend or you wouldn't let a family member hanging out there, you know what I mean? If they were under distress or the first thing we did, right, was call our loved ones and say, where you at? Right. Are you safe? How are you feeling? Make sure you hunker down, make sure you keep yourself healthy, right? The same thing I'm doing with my clients. And then what I also did was I went to my email list and I sent out an email to everybody on the list saying, hey, things are funky right now. I want to know, where are you stuck? Where can I help? And I got some great responses back. So as I'm doing that, I'm getting a pulse and read on where people are really needing the information right now. I got a great question the other day, which we could talk about later, was how do I adjust my marketing? I don't want to sound like a predator. I don't want to sound like an opportunistic pig. So how do I adjust my marketing during these times? So I don't want to offend anybody. I really want to help, but I don't know how to really ask for money right now. And so I thought that was a really great question. So I created a video about it today, and we're going to publish it on Friday on my YouTube channel. So, and then also doing things like this, like, this is fantastic. Like, I would love to do a Q&A with the audience later and see, where Rob Howes is struggling, and what questions could we field for him and help him out with. And Steffi Court, same thing. Like, where are you guys struggling, and how can we be of service to you while you're on this live stream with us?
Very cool.
So on that, Henry, you brought up a couple of absolutely phenomenal points. And in the audience, just wanted to give a quick shout out to Rob Howes for a couple of the comments that he made that were tremendous, such as asking, how do you bring value to others? I'm going to update that to the ticker in just a moment. Once Steffi realized I am murdering my keyboard, so sorry about that. If you hear me tippy typing, just say, Alex, stop. You're being much too loud. It's the mechanical keyboard, I'll tell you. But Rob, what a great point there with asking how we can bring value to others. And then also just noting, identifying relevant pain points and empathizing with others and their relevant pain points as being very important during right now. And I completely agree with that. And I think that that's a terrific thing to talk about, of how do we really altruistically bring value when we're at times like this. I mean, Henry, you even said that, is it really the time for high ticket offers? Is now the best time to be really asking for money? Like, we're having difficulty sending invoices. So what can we do to lead that change and be the change that we all want to see in the world?
Well, I think I had to do it last week too. I had one payment outstanding for a $50,000 job, and we're about to launch his funnel. And he says to me, like, listen, things are wild right now. We're supposed to get, we have $250,000 worth of accounts receivable due on April 1st. Would you be willing to extend the last payment due date to April 1st? And I said, but still launch the funnel, right? And I was like, well, policy is we can't transfer over everything into your name until final payment. So here's what I am willing to do, because I understand the circumstances. If you want to pay half to just get everything transferred over to you, you've been a great client. I love working with you. I'd be happy to adjust that agreement for you. And he said, how about we do a third? Could you, I'm just trying to play this safe. And I said, dude, I'm more than happy to do that for you. So he shot me over, a couple of grand, made me feel good. It made him feel good. We finished up the job. And now April, I just have to wait an extra week and a half to get the final payment. Like, I know he's going to come through. He's not that kind of guy. So I'm cool with that. So being flexible with your terms and conditions right now is probably a great bet, right? The other thing was, there may be some people that you're serving that this is a drop in a bucket for them. They've been prepared for something like this. So you have to ask these questions first, or get a feel for them, right? So I have a client who's very, very well off and very stable, and is looking at this opportunity to really hunker down and really build something great for his audience. And he said, listen, if I pay you up front in full, could you do something for me on the price? And I said, yeah, I could give you a 10% discount on that. And he was like, done. So things like that are so flexibility is going to be key here. But at the end of the day, being very specific with your terms and service and your expectations and all of that is going to help you tremendously during these times.
So I love that we're definitely, working on trying to bring up how to really benefit, these people at these times. And it's definitely important to always be transparent about things, now more than ever, so that people know what to expect. But we did have a excellent question come through in the comments on LinkedIn. So we're going to shift the discussion a little bit. Kimberly Edwards said, this whole pandemic couldn't have come at a worse time. I'm just now a new startup and I don't even know where to go from here.
Oof.
And I think that when you've got three people in this discussion, myself with technology, Lee with copywriting, and Henry with branding, that you've got the brains here to be able to help you work through it. So if I asked the question back, just saying, tell us a little bit about your startup. And then maybe we'll all just give you like our thoughts on it, things that you can do to do from the tech side, from the copy side, from the branding side, to really help you manage through this time, because the landscape is changing and you're not alone. There might be some people out there where this might not affect, and you had all this money set over, but for the majority of small businesses, and I personally work with, I always say, from the Fortune $1 to the Fortune 100 and above. And it's all those businesses that are, you're micro size, you're a solopreneur, you're going at it yourself. It's stressful, it's terrifying. Times are incredibly difficult right now. So our hearts go out to you. And we want to do anything that we can to really help out. So that is my tangent for now, but we will definitely update that ticker with some of your question, Kimberly, so we can really help you out in any way that we can.
Yep.
Well, I see here she's a VA, so she's a virtual assistant, and the whole online business is a new thing for her. So interesting. So I think
will know so much more about that in just a second. I want to give her a chance to respond so we don't kind of jump forward on things.
Sure.
And really, do a disservice to her.
Yeah.
So, but what kind of things would, Henry, you recommend, just general brand overview? What can we do to solidify our brand right now?
Well, a couple of things is you got to ask yourself, what are people looking for in brands right now? What are they looking for? And how can you step up and be that for them? So I think a few things that they're looking for is sensitivity. They're looking for flexibility. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for help. Like, now's the time to be really human with people. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I've never gone through something like this, and I've almost lost my business twice when things were actually fantastic, when the economy was great, and I've struggled more through those times than I have actually struggled with right now. And the things that are coming to mind is being transparent with your audience, and being transparent with your clients, being transparent with your team, and just telling them what's going on. Right. So here's another example. So I frequent a couple local establishments here in New Jersey, like my cafe of choice. Right. We became great friends. Right. He's hanging on by a thread right now. And I woke up this morning and I said, Henry, you're a graphic designer by trade. You have access to print facilities. Why don't you make this guy a banner, a big vinyl banner that says, we're open for takeout, and just give it to him. Get it designed, get it printed, and just give it to him and say, here, Dave, I think you could use this right now. Those are the types of things. And I don't do print anymore. I used to do a lot of printing back in the day, but I don't. But I allocated my resources. I thought about where are my resources, and what resources do I have that I can help people right now. For another example, I had my uncle owns 2 restaurants about 30-40 minutes from here. And I saw one of my buddies repost one of these, oh my God, one of these flyers on Instagram, and it looked like my 2-year-old son did the graphic design for it. And these restaurants are high-end places. And I was like, my uncle needs my help right now. And he's one of those guys that will never ask for help. Like, he's those guys. So I just took it upon myself to redesign the 2 designs and give it to him and say, here, our last name is on these flyers. I can't have it looking like this. So I just gave it to him. And, he was, I owe you. Thank you so much. Blah, blah. Next time you come in, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I'm not doing it for that. I see a need here. So let's step up and help.
And I think that's tremendous advice, to really work on being altruistic, at this time, and trying to be compassionate. We're going to stop the show to say hello to a couple of friends that have joined us. I got to scroll way back up here, but Gary F., Google Cloud enthusiast. How the heck are you doing, man? I'm so thrilled to hear that. I, too, am a Google Cloud enthusiast. My business, A3 Innovation, is a Google Cloud partner, and we do G Suite, GCP, and Google for Education. So I'm with you there. Love Google Cloud, love GCP in general and Google. So you got my respect. And then also, we did adjust everyone's favorite ticker to startup advice, how to grow and scale your online business. So you're brand new, or maybe you've been doing it for a minute and you're just not seeing the results that you want. Between the three of us, myself, I have around 11 years of technology experience. Lee has got a couple decades of copywriting, and that's actually over there. And then Henry, you have a couple of decades as well, right?
Yeah, about 13 years worth of work.
So we've got between us like almost 40 years worth of experience. So in terms of our respective fields, I was thinking maybe we could do a top 5 piece of advice about copy, branding, and technology for a new startup. Lee, do you want to kick us off?
Please. Yeah. Okay. Listen, don't let online fool you into thinking that there are floods of buyers just waiting for you to find them so that they can stuff dollar bills down your shorts. Okay, life doesn't work that way, and you've got to build your audience. The people are out there, but it's more important to be a person than it is first, and then a brand. Okay, a brand itself is not going to carry you these days. You need to be a person. You need to be interacting with people who you want to be your customers and clients, and continue interacting with them once they are customers and clients. One of the things that I've done is I've invested in video software that allows me to connect with people via LinkedIn messaging. And I don't just record a video and then send it out to 100 people. I say, hey, Alex, man, I hope you're doing well. I hope Mango's doing well. I hope everything's going, you're as happy as you can be under the circumstances. If I can be of any help, just let me know. It's like 15 seconds and that makes somebody's day, and they're going to remember that for a long, long time, when they're not going to remember a Facebook ad, a big, long diatribe on YouTube, how great I am, because I've connected with them and said, how are you? Are you doing okay? Exactly what Henry was talking about earlier. So be a person first.
Tremendous advice, Lee. And now, if you guys have noticed, we have switched to a more individualized camera now, and I'm just completely ruining everything. Oh. But there we go. So as the banners are getting adjusted, we are going to be switching over to Mr. Henry Kaminski for the top 5 of branding. Henry?
Sure. So a couple things that I want to point out. One is this, you have to do an assessment. So take a step back for a second and take out a sheet of paper and draw a line down the middle and ask yourself, what are my must-haves to keep this business floating? And what are my nice-to-haves? I'll give you a quick example. So when I did this assessment over the weekend, I realized that I was doing a lot of back-end stuff like SEO optimization, YouTube video optimization, all of the nice-to-haves. I have an admin team that takes care of all that stuff. And I told my lead project manager, I said, now's the time to cut all of that. That's not necessary at the moment. Those are nice to haves. So we're going to cut back on our admin stuff, and we're going to focus on the must-haves. The must-haves are marketing. The must-haves are advertising. The must-haves are live streaming and creating content and continuing to publish content. So that's one thing that I want you to pay attention to. What are your nice to haves? What are your must haves? And double down on your must haves. The other thing that I want to point out is this. Kind of talked about this earlier, but watch your tone when you are communicating with your audience right now. If it sounds a little bit pushy, if it sounds salesy, if it sounds predatory, if it sounds opportunistic, that could have some serious backlash on your brand well after this COVID-19 crisis dies down and it's gone. So I'm getting emails now, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are getting emails now that just don't make any sense, because you could tell they were scheduled, you could tell they were automated, and they're not relevant whatsoever to what's going on right now. The last but not least thing that I would want to point out is this. You have to really pay attention to relevancy right now. So take a look at your offer and ask yourself, is my offer relevant? And is it, what's the word? Is it essential or is it non-essential? And if it's non-essential, you have to make that pivot. You got to make that tweak fast and put something out there that is going to be relevant and essential. So I'll give you another quick example. I have a branding course that I typically charge $500 for. Okay. I sent an email out to my list this morning and I said, hey guys, I've been sitting here doing an inventory on my resources. And I said to myself, you know what? Now's the time to step up. I am going to give you this course for absolutely free until April 7th. Here's the link. Get in there and learn. And that's what I'm talking about, of putting out offers that are essential right now. So those are my three things that I think could help you with your branding and getting you established and connected with your audience at this time.
And those are all freaking tremendous ideas. I absolutely love what we have going on here. And as you guys are listening as well, make sure to bring up any questions that you have. Feel free to drop them in the comments below, and we'll make sure to answer them in live time. And if you're just now joining us, make sure to drop a hello in the chat, and we will give you a shout out live. We stopped the show to say hello. And now to continue with what we were talking about is just startup advice and how to grow and scale your online business. We've been going through the top 3 to 5 things that are important in our distinct areas of expertise. Lee being in copywriting this way. Yes, Lee being in copywriting, Henry being in branding, and then myself being in technology. So I guess it's my turn now. So I'll go ahead and single focused my camera, so now it's just me. And I actually went through and was able to, while Lee and Henry were doing their thing, write down my pieces of advice. Because when it comes to tech, it's very technical, and you have to have a lot of things behind it. It takes a lot of time, effort, and energy to set up. And technology seems really overwhelming when you're first starting out. And what CRM should I use? Do I need a CRM? Do I need a business phone number? Do I have to have a domain? Do I need an SSL on my domain? Where should I buy my domain? How do I make a website? How do I manage social media? How do I get my first client? How do I send an invoice? There are literally hundreds and hundreds of questions that everyone has asked themselves when trying to start an online business. And when it comes to technology, some of my biggest pieces of advice when you're a startup, small business, is number one, first and foremost, manage your expenses. And when you can, do it yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean go on GoDaddy and buy your own website and pay for everything yourself and use their managed WordPress platform to do it yourself. But with tech, everything happens for a reason. Every email you send, G Suite is a service. Microsoft Office is a service. These services are just created with code. So a lot of things you can accomplish without needing to be super, super technical by using platforms such as AWS to host your website, instead of doing one-click installs on Bluehost, because it's going to allow you a lot more customization and being able to get what you want and manage your expenses very carefully. So really understanding what your expenses do, where they're coming from, and then what you're investing into in terms of technology and how you can get that as cheap as possible. Try to do it yourself or leverage your local tech gnome. Piece number 2 is to look professional. And this does not mean wear a suit and tie. I mean, you can see me. I've got a hoodie on. I've got my headphones and my blue light glasses trying to protect my frying eyes. But by look professional, I mean, make your business look as big and as polished as the enterprise can have it. Even if you are just you for a very minimal amount a month, which I can add up, you can get a lot of things like a business phone number, a domain branded email, your own website being hosted every month, an auto attendant on your phone number to answer questions and to your customers and route calls for you. All of these things that you would expect with a much bigger company, you can actually do and look incredibly professional, even if it's just you. So if you're looking at the bare minimum that you need, you've got a website, a domain, which you buy through Google Domains. It's $12 a year, privacy protections included. It's the cheapest you're going to find with making it easy to integrate, and it's what I personally recommend. Google Voice business subscription, it'll cost you $20 a line, but you'll get the auto attendant, and that's $20 for a business line that you get to pick out. And then the calls all come through the cloud. So it even works like you don't need a landline, you just need an internet connection. You can take your business calls and you have your own dedicated business number. G Suite email subscription, getting a professional domain email, and you can get that along with your domain. Basic subscriptions cost $6 a month. Hosting, just start out with a WordPress website. That's pretty much all you need. It's super easy to install. If you want a DIY option, you can do a WordPress.org, not WordPress.com. They're expensive. WordPress.com was actually partly created by the guy who started WordPress.org, and then they charge for it, whereas WordPress.org is completely free open source. So you want WordPress.org, and then if you host on Amazon, AWS Light Sale is what it's called. Easy to follow instructions, and you can host your website for $7.50, which is a lot cheaper than most of the one-click platforms out there.
Right home.
So those are my big things: looking professional, managing your expenses, investing in that technology early on to really stay at the forefront, and then making sure that your communications can all be handled digitally and virtually, which we're all kind of practicing now working from home. So leveraging Zoom or Google Hangouts, Google Meet, whatever you can, and
fantastic. Thank you so much for the suggestions, Alex. I always appreciate how you break things down into actionable steps so that people can actually understand tech, because that's something that not everybody can do. It's a great talent to have in the tech space, because most of the people that you're going to be working with aren't going to be familiar with that. I do have a couple questions that came in over on our announcement post this morning. If I can go through those real quick before we get on with the rest of it. So first one is from Kevin McDowell. And first of all, I have to say for you, because I know you're going to want me to, chucklehead. Because I just know that that's your favorite word. And so I just thought I'd just get it all out of my chucklehead out of my system. All right, now, let me quote my favorite Guster song as my inspirational thought of the day. Be calm, be brave, it'll be okay. So now my question: do you believe that once we shoot out the other end of this ever-tightening funnel, the gig economy will be a much larger percentage of the workforce than ever before? And if so, should we expect a glut of shit quality and pricing pressures?
Yes.
I love these questions. Right,
I love them too.
Point.
Dude, that's a brilliant question. And I'll start out taking this one if that's cool with you guys.
Yo, what?
Dude, this is something that I am so passionate about. Like, when it comes to tech, everybody in the world wants to call themselves like a web developer because they know how to do WordPress.com one-click installations on GoDaddy. And that's just not how it works. So I think one of the things that's going to really come out of this is a massive influx of people looking for gig-based work. And that gig economy really is going to hit hard. Recent statistics that I saw, which I can drop source in the LinkedIn discussion, was about 5% of people were working from home before the whole Corona thing started, and now up to 80% of people are working remotely. So that's going to leave a huge opportunity for gig-based work, for remote work, and for people who don't want to have a normal job, but instead want to just get paid as they get things done. And will that lead to an influx of low-quality workers? Yes, because you're going to have a bunch of people who are completely inexperienced with rock-bottom prices, and the market is going to respond to that. They're going to get low quality work. Being in tech, you're going to get low quality websites that are just templated, and they forget to install analytics, or they forget to secure the domain, or they can't figure out how to change a contact form, or they've never heard of a color scheme in their life. So you're going to get what you pay for, and those inexperienced people are going to drive a lot of pricing down. Because when you're trying to remain competitive, you've got to match where the market is. So even if you have that advantage over them in that you're a lot more experienced and you're able to deliver a much better project, you're still going to have pushback on cost, on price. So it's going to be really important to stay firm in your value proposition and what makes you different.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. There's the move toward craftsmanship, as Ian Tiska calls it. I hope he's listening here. Those of us who have been in the industry for a while, we see that coming. We know that wave of crap is coming, and we're not just going to bar our doors and buy a gun. We're calling people to excellence, and that's what this is all about. This is what these live streams about, is for the people who want to rise above, who don't want to get mired in that wave of crap that's coming, and want to build an audience of people who respect our excellence, who need our excellence, and who are willing to pay for our excellence. Yeah. That's what's going to drive the winners and the thrivers in the gig economy.
I love it. And this is where branding comes in at its best, and positioning yourself as the premium model and not deviating from that. I have there's so many people that come my way looking for cheap funnels. There's people out there doing funnel architecture and build outs for $2,500, for $500, right now. And then if you were to come to me, you're looking at a $25,000 investment at a minimum, right? And that's now. And I don't deviate on price. I don't. It's the value that I'm delivering. So I know what a funnel could do for your business. Either you understand that value or you don't. But I'm not going to compete on price to get your business. I'm just not. It's not the way that I operate. And it's a race to the bottom. So when you position yourself, when you're confident in your work and you position yourself and you tell your clients, listen, I'm going to be the most expensive person that you talk to, right? And put that out there up front. Like they have an option to hang up and say, you know what, you're out of my league, or to further the conversation.
Right.
Either way, I'm good.
Yep. That's exactly right. Okay,
More questions?
I've got one more here from, and this is from Ian. He says, with this massive.
I'm so sorry, Ian, to interrupt your question, but we have to stop the show to say hello to some of our good friends who just joined, including Simon and Mr. Randy Cooper. Hello to both of you gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us today. Sorry about your question, Ian. Go ahead, Lee.
Back to that screen. Okay. With this massive migration in the workforce to remote and more eyes than ever on platforms like these, what are you guys doing now to maximize your reach and capture your leads?
This?
Wow.
This.
You're looking at it, man.
Man, the one-on-one, the face-to-cam, you guys know, I've told you all this story. 2 years ago, I was terrified of getting in front of a friggin' camera. You remember that, Henry?
Yeah.
God, do you remember the first podcast you and I did together?
Yes, I do.
I hope you burned it. I mean, I was awful, man. But like, look, this is not the time to be afraid. This is not the time to be timid. This is not the time to second guess yourself. Damn it. Yeah. This is a shift in the entire world. And I know so many people who are jumping on it and going, you know what? I've been ready for a change for a while, and here it is. It's time to reinvent.
Well, it's like you call it a certain type of economy, Lee.
Yeah, the connection economy.
What is it?
The connection economy.
The connection economy.
Yes.
It is one of the coolest things that I've ever heard you say, Lee. And you said a lot of really incredible things, but just that phrase alone, the connection economy, has never been more timely. That's why we're working from home. That's why we're focusing on these one-on-ones more intimate settings, because that's what technology empowers us to do. It's to choose our connections wisely and to get in front of those connections instantaneously. Yeah. So the connection economy is about a lot more than just the same copy in a can, the same website template, the same brand from Adobe Spark. It's about really delivering something personalized, customized, and with passion, with feeling to it, instead of just the same thing that everybody else is doing, because you are connected.
Yeah.
Yep. And that takes work. I mean, it takes hours. I was up at 4:30 this morning. I think, sending out the messages on Dub through LinkedIn Messenger, which is my big outreach thing right now. It's hard to fit in. It takes time, but if you want to succeed and thrive in this economy, that's what you need to do, because the days of being able to buy mass audiences and just profit are over.
Yeah. Now is the best time to really create that connection and that relationship with your audience and bridge that gap between the brand and the people that you truly want to serve. And things like this, like live streaming and doing Q&As. Gary Vee did an hour and a half or 2 hour Q&A yesterday from his living room and brought people on and just let them talk. And I think he gave them like each 5-6 minutes each. And he just fielded 2 hours worth of questions. Like that is boss, right? And I love and hate Gary Vee, but I'm looking at what he's doing, and I said, listen, man, this is what needs to be done during these times. And being of value and being of service at this time is going to create such a relationship capital, right? When we get out of this, where do you think they're going to put you in their minds?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm looking for, because this isn't going to be forever, guys. Yeah, it might suck for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. I guess that's the most uneasy part of this whole thing is none of us know how long this is going to last. But I can tell you one thing, it ain't going to last forever. So instead of going into our mole hole and hiding and trying to like bury our heads in the sand and trying to figure like just disappearing and make it like just make it all go away. Like that's not leadership. Like that's not why people hire you, is it?
No.
Leadership
Right.
is being the one that leads them into the sand because you built a cave underneath. You're good.
We have a bunker now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
It's not about not diving into the sand. It's about making sure you remembered that you built the bunker there earlier.
And
That's
hopefully we properly
prepared.
ventilated it too.
That would be a really unfortunate finding. You make it through the apocalypse just to suffocate in your bunker.
Those things you've gone nose blind to. What can you say?
Now, here's
Woo!
what I wanted to bring up to you guys. I mean, this is an exercise that I did with my wife on Saturday after my son went to bed. I sat down with her and I said, listen, we're in a very fortunate position right now. We have runway. We're stable. We're healthy. We live in a beautiful house. We don't live in pandemonium. Like we're we have it made compared to a lot of people out there. But let's just take a second and discuss worst case scenario. I go, let's write down on a sheet of paper, what's the worst case scenario? And we hit it head on. I don't get any more work for another year, let's just say.
Mhm.
Right? So there's zero income coming in from Unique Designs for a year straight. What happens now? How do we adjust? What are we buying? What are we not buying? How are we living our day to day? And we literally visualized that together. And we were laughing while we were doing the exercise because it all came down to like materialistic stuff. Henry, we might not get the truck you want this year. We might not be able to go to Disney with the baby. We might not be able to go. Like it all came down to stuff.
Right.
And I laughed because that's Saturday. It was a beautiful day here in New Jersey. And over the fall, I put together, I did some landscaping work out in our backyard because we live on a lake. And so we put a fire pit in and some Adirondacks chairs, and we were having a blast. A couple cousins came over. We had a bonfire. We were drinking wine. We were having a blast. And I was like, guys, this is all I need. Honestly, at the end of the day, this is all I need. And I know it's easy to say. Because there's people losing their shit right now and losing their, everything that they own, their business, everything. But you have to look at it again on the bright side. This is the time to create those relationships, not only with your business and with your customers, but with your family and with the people that you really love.
And with that, Henry, you have definitely inspired me to change the ticker. How do you prepare for your worst case scenario? I think that's an incredible thing that we could talk about is just, how do you get ready to face the worst of your fears? If you're really looking at things realistically and you're thinking, what if I don't get another client for the year? What can we do to make sure that doesn't happen? What strategies can we take to really flourish in this situation and use it for good? Because I think I made a post yesterday on LinkedIn that was with one of my favorite quotes of all time, which is use disruption as opportunity. Mm-hmm. And there always will be opportunities in anything. And this is a very disruptive time period right now. And your entire life is disrupted. And that doesn't mean that it'll be a good opportunity. But sometimes you can take the best bad opportunity that you have and make some good out of it. So just keeping that in mind and really working on moving forward to prepare and get yourself mentally strong and ready to really grind it out. Henry, what kind of advice do you have? Lee, what kind of thoughts do you have about how you really could manage those worst case scenarios that are going through our heads?
Go ahead, Lee.
Well, I think the first thing you have to keep in mind is that you have a 100% success rate through getting through shit so far. And so, no, we haven't been through this before. Yes, it's completely new territory, but you've gotten through new territory before. I have. many, many times. I reinvented it. That's why my logo is the Phoenix, because no matter what happens, from the ashes will come something that's going to kick your ass even harder. And that's just how it's going to be. And as long as I hold that belief, there's nothing that's going to take me down and keep me down. And as long as you hold that belief, there's nothing that's going to take you down and keep you down. Even if it comes down to eating ramen for a week. My wife and I have had this discussion too. I mean, her family owns property down in the Hocking Hills area. I mean, there are places we could go today if we needed to. We have resources, and I can't say that everybody does. I'm cognizant that there are the people who are just really have their backs against the wall. But if you're watching this, then you have an opportunity because you have access to the internet.
Right.
And that means information. That means knowledge. That means support. That means people who can help you.
Yeah. I think it's so here's how do you prepare for the worst case scenario? I think you have to do a resource audit. What are your resources and how can you leverage them? That's number one. Number two, what does your expenses look like? I think somebody mentioned that earlier in this conversation was what does your expenses look like and what does business and life look like living off of 50% of what you're making right now? And get really clear on that. Like write that down because here's what happens. If and when, which I don't think it's going to get that way, that happens, it's almost like it's not a big deal because you've already thought it through, right? Now, what I'm saying is on the flip side of that is I don't want you to dwell on that because I think what you focus on is what you're going to get. So if you keep panicking, if you keep dwelling on things that you can't control, eventually that shit's going to happen. So, but you got to get real and just spend X amount of time on this and really ask yourself, like, what does life look like? And write it all down. And that may be a motivation for you. Like, I love what Alex said before, where you're writing this shit down going, oh my God, I never want to be here. Like, whew, what do I, and that puts the light under your ass to actually get up and move and do. And there could be some real opportunity there if you take the time to do this exercise. But it's tough to say, Alex, to really answer this question, how do you prepare for some craziness like this? Like whoever thought, toilet paper and Lysol and hand sanitizer were going to turn into like gold blocks, Right. Like who the hell would ever have thought that, right? So it's tough to do, but now we know. So here's my question to the audience. What lessons have you learned thus far going through this outbreak that will prepare you for the next crisis, no matter what it is?
Yep.
Man, I could do this all day. I love this setup. I really do.
I can do it all day too.
Yeah.
I pretty much sit in this position all day, so I'm already a step ahead of you.
Yeah, can you believe we're almost coming up on the hour mark? So that's really we've
like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
do we want to do final thoughts? Is it time for final thoughts?
You know what? I think we need to wrap this up, and then where can everybody get a hold of us, and then we'll get the heck out of here and do it again tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So final thoughts, one of my favorite parts. We each get a highlight, much like we did earlier. We will go single full camera and give our final thoughts for the day. That's really all there is to it. I just like it a lot because we get to talk. And Mr. Henry Kaminski, we will start with you, my friend. Your final thoughts.
So final
change.
This, we really got to step up and lead in times like this. So how do we do that? We have to keep our mindsets positive. We have to be optimistic. We really need to lead and be of service to our audience and our clients and our family and everything. Like they are looking for us right now to guide them along the way. And as scary as that sounds, you got to do it. Like you just got to step up. So I'm going to share with you this real quick. And this is what I was thinking about over the weekend. I born and raised in New Jersey, right outside of New York City. And when 9/11 hit, that was literally my backyard. And I remember it like it was yesterday because I have friends that lost parents. I have friends that lost brothers and sisters. during that catastrophe. And I'll never forget that article. It wasn't an article. It was a news spot about the two guys on the plane that was over Pennsylvania that crashed. And when those two guys got up out of their seats and said, "Let's roll," and did what they had to do and sacrificed their lives to bring that plane down where it went down and not where it could have gone down, reminds me of right now. And I say to myself, do I want to be a passenger on this plane during this time, or do I want to be a leader? And I chose to be a leader. So I will do what it takes for my business and for my family to survive this mess.
Ooh, wonderful thoughts. And I'm going to jump back here to the triple split. We put in a ticker down below where you can connect with Henry. Henry, I just put LinkedIn and Instagram because I know those are two platforms you're big on. So if you just want to run through like your handles, your username, so that people can find you.
Sure. So Instagram, it's at the brand DR. So the brand DR on Instagram, and on LinkedIn, it's Henry Kaminski Jr.
Seems simple enough. You heard him, ladies and gentlemen. So go ahead and connect with Henry Kaminski or the brand DR on Instagram. And Lee, you want to go, or do you want me to take it and do my final and then your final, or how do you want to play?
Hey, go right ahead.
Oh, okay, cool. I can do that. So let me go ahead and put this on main screen. I'm not Henry. I don't have a cool little sliding banner made for myself, but I will get that made for Lee. So my final thoughts are, I hope everyone is having a absolutely terrific day. I know that they're really stressful right now. You know, we're all feeling it. People are really having a tough time getting things, getting things done in their business, managing the changing environment, working from home. I mean, even myself, I have a 10-month-old son. So, trying to manage that and the wife who's working from home now is also just like, it changes. It's difficult. It's stressful. So, just remain vigilant, remain positive, and keep on chugging, because, we're all going to get through this, and the world might not be the same as we've seen in a couple of months, but there are definitely going to be some positive changes to come. As entrepreneurs, as business leaders, as innovators and forward thinkers, there has never been a better time to really make a positive change. So I will leave you with my final thought, which is simply always be thinking about how you can help your neighbor. Sometimes your neighbor's a business, sometimes your neighbor is your best friend, and sometimes it's going to be your wife. But always make sure that you're looking out for ways that you can really help people, because it's never been more important.
Very good, Alex. Thank you so much.
There we go. We got Lee now.
No, it's me. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Listen, it's how could I just narrow this down to one final thought with just so much crazy that's going on in the world? I mean, it really boggles the mind, but I think at the end of the day, you've got to be able to take this opportunity to look inside and to see what you can do with it. Because again, I keep saying that this is a time of change. This is a time of mass transformation. We don't know exactly what, but it's a big pause button, and it's a silence for you to be able to look inside and say, what do I really want? What do I really want to create? What do I really want to do for other people? What do I want my legacy to be? What do I want people to remember me for after I'm gone? And, a big disruption like this can create, those huge changes. And just don't be afraid to listen to what goes on inside, because, you're going to probably hear yourself saying some things that you probably haven't thought of. And this may be an opportunity for you to grow something that you've never even really considered or given yourself permission to consider.
Love it.
As always, tremendous final thoughts, Lee. So I took down our tickers because unfortunately I believe our time is up, correct?
Yep, we're just about to wrap this up. We got 3 minutes. So if you're not already following Henry, go follow him, and then uniquedesigns.net. as another great place to find him. He's huge on over on huge. Huge. Let me see if I can get that right. Huge. Yes, is that right? Is that close enough? I don't have the Jersey swagger. I can't get it right. So I try. You know, that's a Ohio hillbillies can't quite get it down right, but we work with what we got, right? So very cool. Alex McDowell, A3I LLC.com and
Real Impact Solutions.
I need to write that. Okay. And of course, you can find me at leerowley.com and copybrandu.com, where I'm training the next wave of copywriters to come smack around all these template carrying dimwit chuckleheads who think they're copywriters. Now, just tired of it. So, anyway, Copy Brand U, go check that out. Thank you, Henry, for joining us. Thank you, Alex, for joining us. Everybody who came in and hung out, asked questions, listened, supported. Thank you so much, and we will be doing this again in some form tomorrow again at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
Take care, guys.